There was a sense that perhaps this might not go well, even during the argument stages. But yes, the judge, before delivering her judgment, she meticulously went through all the arguments that have been made before her, and essentially finding that it would cause, major harm to the reputation of Minister Gordhan if this urgent interdict is not granted, saying that urgent interdicts have been granted in the past, and it does not mean that the report in itself, there may be something wrong with it, but rather it means you need to allow that process of reviewing the report while then suspending the remedial actions. We know the remedial actions, of course, is that Public Protector called for the President to take a disciplinary action against Minister Gordhan in 30 days' time. And we know the President was against the idea of taking a DC action against his minister.
That was our reporter, Sipho Sterman, a little bit earlier on at the Pretoria High Court, the Gauteng North High Court, for that judgment where the judge has interdicted the Public Protector's remedial action. Now are the courts and the judge stuck to the law and only the law. There's no helping that this has some political overtones, and to help us understand what those might be, I'm now joined on the line, in fact, from our studio in Pretoria, by political analyst Levy Ndou. Thanks so much indeed for joining us. Welcome to the program. As I said, the courts and the judges deal strictly with the law, but there's no escaping that this case in particular has had some political overtones right from the beginning.
Good afternoon, Peter. Good afternoon to the viewers at home. Indeed, this case has serious political implications. Remember, the Public Protector and other Chapter 9 institutions are created in order to strengthen our democracy and in order to protect the ordinary citizens, so that whatever happens to them, which is unfair, or whilst they are unfairly treated, they should actually run to these institutions. Now, if there are indications where these institutions does not seem to be working, and indeed in the interest of ordinary citizens, it has very serious implications on the standings of these institutions.
All right, so looking at the judgment itself, what does it tell us?
Well, the judgment for me tells us that there should be something wrong in the office of the Public Protector. And I think it will be quite unfair for all of us to put the blame only on one person, who is the Public Protector. Because the Public Protector, it's just one head of the institution, and she's actually working with a lot of people. So if you hear the judgment saying that what the Public Protector has actually done, it's nonsensical, it's inconsistent with the Constitution, and all those kind of things. For me, the blame should not only go to one individual, it should go to a number of people that participated in these investigations. And I think those that are working in the office of the Public Protector have got a lot of explanation to make, because we cannot allow this important institution to fail whilst they are, it's staffed by people that we assume are quite competent to do the work.
All right, the EFF, Economic Freedom Fighters, inserted themselves in this particular case, and they found themselves to be on the wrong side of a cost order. But they feel, and I'm quoting Floyd Shivambu here, reality is that white people in South Africa, including judges, are 100% united in defense of the capitalist establishment as represented by the incumbent. What do you make of their role in this particular case, particularly being friends of the court, or inserting themselves in this case to support the advocate?
I think what the EFF has done, it's part of participation by a political party in a political activity, and they have to do it. It is within their rights to do so. The unfortunate part here is that unfortunately, they could not they could not win their case because of the presentations from other people. But I think it's within their right that they actually go and become the friends of the court in support of the public protector, who is leading a very, very important institution of our democracy. But also, my view would be that you would know the relationship that exists between Pravin Gordhan and the EFF. And I think that is one other matter that actually motivated the EFF to actually go and support the public protector. And remember, the statement by the leader of the EFF is that the EFF would actually support the public protector on a court-to-court basis. So the EFF, for me, does not seem to be having a permanent relationship with the incumbent Mkhwebane. They'll actually support her on a case-to-case basis. And for me, that will be the best thing to do, because there are other areas where they might not agree with the public protector, whilst in other areas they'll actually agree with the public protector.
All right, so taking the personalities to one side and just looking at the issue at hand, was it an unreasonable judgment that remedial action should be suspended pending a review? You know, in the normal courts of law, you get sentenced and you can appeal that sentence, and you don't necessarily go to jail straight away.
Indeed, I think the way I understood it is that this matter is still before the courts. And because this matter is still within the courts, then you don't quickly rush to the implementation of the remedial actions by the public protector. And for me, that is simple common sense. And that's why my view is that there seem to be people within the office of the public protector who are actually misleading the public protector in taking some of the decisions. And for me, I think the entire office of the public protector need to sit down and develop some reflections and soul searching in terms of how best are they supposed to assist South Africa. We cannot allow a situation where time and time again the decisions of the public protector are being overturned, because that will actually render the office of the public protector not efficient, and ordinary citizens are actually going to lose trust in this important institution of our democracy.
All right, but in all fairness, the previous public protector had cases that went to court and she lost there as well. Why do you think that more focus has been put on this public protector than the other one?
My view, again, Peter, I repeat, we don't have to point fingers at one person who is the public protector. She is working with a lot of people. And my view is that it's either there are people within the office of the public protector who are there to mislead the public protector in taking wrong decisions, or it's either the people that are saying that she's being used might be correct. There should be people that are actually using the public protector from outside in order to take these kind of decisions. And lastly, my view would be that if it's not what I said, the first and the second one, lastly will be that maybe there's an element of incompetency on the part of the public protector.
Is it possible that she's getting good advice from her team and that maybe she's overriding it because a lot of the team was there with the former public protector?
Well, that is something that indeed should be investigated if they want to get to the bottom of all the problems in the office of the public protector. But I don't think that you would have very competent people that are appointed to serve this important institution having to come to this kind of decisions. My suspicion really is that there should be something wrong going on in the office of the public protector, and it is time that action has to be taken so that we actually don't find ourselves in this kind of a situation where decisions that are actually being taken by the public protector are always being turned down by our own courts.
On the face of it, I mean, this judgment doesn't in any way speak really against the work that she's done. It just says that the judgment has been suspended. So are the critics overreaching here? Because the merits of her case haven't been tested. It was just whether remedial action should be enforced straight away or suspended. Are we not playing to the gallery when people say that this is another blow for her?
I think we don't need to be very harsh on the public protector. What has only happened today is only that her remedial actions for now are being suspended. And as long as the court has to sit and decide whether to overturn the decision of the public protector, what we need to do is to sit down and wait for that moment when such is actually supposed to happen. But the argument from the Office of the Public Protector says that if this decision was taken, or the decision taken today would have serious negative implications in the Office of the Public Protector. We don't know now the impact that this decision has actually made in the Office of the Public Protector. But the spokesperson of the Public Protector was saying they is actually going to go back, relook at the judgment, and the Public Protector will still continue doing her work. And for me, I don't want to see a Public Protector who is discouraged from doing her work. I don't want to see a Public Protector who does not have a sufficient support from ordinary citizens in this country, because that will actually have a huge impact on her doing her work properly. All we need to do is to continue supporting the institution of the Public Protector. They are human beings, they also make mistakes, but they also have to ensure that in the process of doing their work, they should actually do it in the best of their abilities, so that as ordinary citizens, we do not lose trust in this important institution of our democracy.
And that trust often depends on how the narrative plays out in the media and in social media. And at the moment, one gets a sense that a lot of people think that this is Pravin versus Busisiwe, and that it's got nothing to do with the law, and that there are interested parties that are busy muddying the waters, as it were. How do we get past this? Because, as I said, a lot of people are not even interrogating the law. They're actually just looking at this and saying, some are saying, why is Pravin being treated with kid gloves? Why is he special? And others are busy saying that she must do her job, she must do her work. How did we get to this point?
The unfortunate situation is that all these activities that are happening now are being politicized. Unfortunately, Pravin Gordhan is a politician, so whatever things he does will actually have some political connotation. But you know that there is, on numerous occasions, there has been a situation where both Busisiwe, Mkhwebane and Pravin Gordhan would not have that very good relationship. And that is why now this matter is quite being personalized, to say, no, it is actually Pravin versus Busisiwe Mkhwebane. It is just that they're actually using their own positions, but fighting in the public space. That is one thing that, for me, I think people should actually not focus on. What I think is happening is that Busisiwe Mkhwebane, as the public protector, is actually doing her best to perform her responsibilities given to her by our own constitution. And at the same time, you have Pravin Gordhan, who would, on the other hand, be seen to be playing victim, but also exercising her own rights. And remember, there is nothing wrong with what Pravin Gordhan did in terms of taking these matters to the courts and taking it for review. It is within his constitutional rights. But of course, you'll still have people trying to interpret it very, very differently, as if these are quite personal issues and they've got nothing to do with the running of the institutions of the state.
All right. And finally, do you think that Advocate Mkhwebane will survive a test in Parliament if they choose to sit and discuss her future?
The unfortunate part is that we already know that there are some members of Parliament who actually wanted her out long time ago, even before these cases came in. You will also recall that the Democratic Alliance has been vocal and very suspicious of Vusiwe Mkhwebane as an individual. We don't know exactly where other political parties stand, but there has always been a talk about Parliament having to reconsider and actually looking at her fitness to occupy the office of the Public Protector, and that indeed puts her in a very, very difficult situation. It is not about her being discussed in Parliament and then she survives or not survive. What is very important is that there is this kind of a discussion, and only this kind of a discussion would also have an impact on her as an individual. Remember, if you occupy this important office and there's talk about you being removed from office, it has a huge impact on an institution and on you as an individual. So we just have to wait and see if indeed MPs are impressed with her work, or if MPs are quite very angry with her to an extent that they'll want her to be removed.
All right, and that's where we'll leave it. Thank you very much indeed. That's political analyst Levy Ndou from the Tswane University of Technology speaking to us from our studio in Pretoria.